all. If not, you can do it later.
Here, I haven't logged into Facebook.
All righty.
Let me see if it will let me do it.
All righty. Hold on, everybody. We're about ready to go.
Okay, I might need to share it later. I would like to share it now, but I'm not getting the notifications on it.
Okay. Not to worry. Let me go to my Facebook and see if, I don't know if we can send it from Facebook to Instagram, but I will try.
Oh no, I'm trying to pull up because I do have a Facebook page. I haven't oh, there we go.
I just sent it to you on Instagram.
Alrighty. Oh, there we go. Yes, wonderful.
Alrighty. So I'm going to be watching to see if we have anybody come in to say anything or ask questions. First, I'd like to do the intro to my show, everybody. A lot of times, Kiki, nobody's watching during the show, and then they come in after I post it. So I never worry about that. They'll eventually come in. Facebook people, no matter if you're watching live somewhere throughout this episode, or if you're watching after the fact. And it doesn't matter if you're wearing pants from the waist down. We don't care and we don't want to know. You know, we have the don't ask and please don't tell policy. The military doesn't, we do. So I would love to introduce my guest today, but first I got to let you know that there's these intros and these interviews were all done for you people at home, so you can get to know who people are off stage. But I want you to know, when I saw this gal on stage, she's so unassuming. She just sits in the crowd. She's not dolled up. She just sat there like, I don't know what she was wearing, maybe jeans and a t-shirt. I don't remember. And you would think, oh, that's a nice audience member. And she gets up on stage and I said, she's somebody. I have to interview her. And then I go to her page. Look at what I found. This lady's like uber famous around the world. You wouldn't know it. She's so humble. So let me read you. She's going to be embarrassed. You can go get a cup of coffee while I do that if it embarrasses you, Kiki. But I got to read it. You guys also please go to kikimaroon.com, Kiki Maroon, just like Maroon 5, MAROON.com. Okay, Kiki Maroon is a stand-up comic, special events producer, and international award-winning burlesque performer. As we say in the Jewish circles, what's not to love? Yes. Known as the stand-up who strips down, her life on the road as a showgirl has given her a unique voice on stage. And I can attest to that. Combining stand-up comedy, storytelling, and cabaret, she has been called a modern-day Lucille Ball. Though Lucille never pulled down a clown nose out of her panties.
That we know of.
That we know of, yeah. Kiki has charmed audiences across the US, South America, Europe, and Asia, winning her the titles of 2013 Burlesque Comedy Queen, 2015 People's Choice at the International Queen Burlesque Festival, Milan, Italy, and the honor of being a judge at the 2018 Burlesque Hall of Fame in Las Vegas. Based out of Las Vegas, Kiki is originally from Texas, where she was named one of Houston's most colorful celebrities by the Houston Chronicle and included in the 100 most creative people by the Houston Press for her work as a special events producer. In 2015, get a load of this, Kiki launched the BCBC Festival, Burlesque and Circus Festival, featuring performers from around the world for a multi-day event in Houston. In 2019, she held a residency at the House of Blues Houston and the House of Blues Dallas as the star of Kiki Maroon's Burlesque Q Lounge. The host received rave reviews regularly, selling out the year-long run. After a public battle with addiction, Kiki launched a 15-episode podcast called Clown Interrupted, an interview-style show. The podcast focuses on artists in recovery and the life choices that led them to sobriety. The Houston Chronicle called Clown Interrupted, excuse me a second, it just lost my place, an hour's worth of near perfect rock and roll lifestyle conversation. The show led to her TED Talk, The Beauty of Rock Bottom. Oh, wow. Which chronicled her journey from stripping down clown to bump and grind burlesque superstar. You can find Kiki Maroon's Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Playboy Centerfold, and much more at kikimaroon.com/links. Oh my gosh, Kiki, thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having me. Thank
Yes.
you.
Oh my gosh, you grew up in Houston.
I did. Well, kind of. I'm originally from San Antonio, but I always say like Kiki was born in Houston. Like I didn't start performing until I was in Houston, and that's where I became me. So I certainly consider myself growing up there because it's where I just blossomed.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, were you always funny? And how did funny become burlesque and, producing? Tell me how that all happened.
No, I was not always funny. I actually was very, very shy, very quiet. Yeah, not at all funny. Oh God, sorry. I'm like, what is the shortest way to say this story? It is such a long story. I'm working on
Say
a book.
it.
It's too long.
I'm retired. Tell
Okay,
it.
we got time. But yeah, no, I grew up with very sad, honestly, just like dealt with a lot of depression and anxiety and everything from childhood. And so it wasn't until I was about 22, 23 that I stumbled into burlesque first before comedy. And so I was going to school to be a costume designer. I loved theatrical costumes. I loved the circus. And so I was working for theaters, but I also would do side gigs on my own, making costumes for individual performers. And so I had a couple of burlesque performers who wanted pieces. And I was like, I don't really know what burlesque is. So I went to a couple of shows and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. They're just, with the feathers and the glitter and they're taking their clothes off on stage. And it's just very Vegas, over the top. And like I said, I love the circus because I love over the top and whimsical and colorful. I mean, you see.
Yes, beautiful.
So seeing that in person on, I guess a more obtainable scale, because, the circus is so big. And so seeing, these people that were individual performers just get to do that, I thought was absolutely amazing. So I put together a burlesque show. I didn't really know it was a burlesque show. I called it a fashion show because I was like, well, I'll make your costumes for you. And instead of a regular fashion show, come out and perform in them.
Wow.
And so I didn't know that I'd produced my first show. So I did that once and I loved it. And then I was doing another one and my host actually bailed on me about 2-3 hours before the show was supposed to start. And I'd not been on stage before. I was always like a very shy, don't look at me person. I was like, no, I just want to show my clothes off. And so I had to host the show. And I didn't know how to use a microphone. Most of the show, people were yelling at me, talk into the mic. Because I'm sure you see at open mics where people have the microphone down here. And so I kept bringing it up and then kept putting it back down. And yeah, but it was so fun though. It was so fun. I absolutely fell in love with it. And I just started hosting my own shows after that because I loved going on stage and fucking with people. I didn't know what crowd work was because I'd never been to a comedy show. I'd only seen comedy on, TV, Netflix, like that kind of idea of the, HBO special. I had never seen local comedy at the time. And so after doing that a little bit, a comedian that was in my show was like, hey, we have this open mic here at Sherlock's, is a bar in Houston that has very well-known open mic. And so I went and I was like, that's what I do. I thought that was just called fucking with, I'm sorry, can I cuss?
Go right ahead.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
I've heard it all. I was in the Army.
Oh, okay. So I thought that was just called fucking with the audience. I didn't know that was comedy. I didn't know that was crowd work. And so, yeah, I started going to the open mics in Houston. And even then, I went for months, maybe even a year. I'm not really sure. I'm very bad with time. Where I would go every single week to watch the show. And there was a comedian there that ran the open mic. His name is John Westling, one of my favorite people. He would always say, hey kid, when are you gonna go up? And I was like, no, I don't want to, I just want to come, I'm just having fun. I just want to support. And he was like, you don't want to support. You've watched the same jokes every week from the same people every week. You want to go up. And it took me a long time to get the courage to be like, oh, I actually want to do this. And so once I did, I just kind of realized that there's just so much crossover, and people are often, I was like, oh, how do you do both? You're doing burlesque, you're doing comedy, like they're just so weird. And I'm like, they're the same thing. To me, they are the same thing. There's the same personalities in each scene. It's the same kind of bottleneck as far as the amount of people that try it versus the amount of people that like professionally pursue it. It's a lot of the same drama. It's the same thing. And so yeah, it's only though in the last year that I have found more ways to really incorporate the two, because they've been very, compartmentalized in my life for so long. I do burlesque here, I do comedy here, and I host the shows, but then this is stand-up, which is different. And over the last couple of months, really, I am now doing stand-up in my burlesque acts. It's very much in the style. People will say like, oh, that's so different. It's not. That's what Gypsy Rose Lee did,
Yes.
way back in the day. And that's the style that I really want to do, where I go up and I am talking while I am doing the burlesque act, because I got things to say, damn it.
I often thought that if I did burlesque or stripping, that I would only be able to do it like Lucille Ball would.
That is how I started. My first and still favorite acts were always stripping clowns, because I have no dance training. I have no professional dance training. I didn't know how to sing. I didn't really know how to be on stage. And so my very first act, I was like, well, if I'm a clown and I mess up, it's part of the act.
Yes.
It was my hack.
Absolutely. There's a video. This is not burlesque or stripping, but there's a very funny video, of Barbara Streisand on roller skates in a bar full of drinking saloon people. And she's singing the song, I'd Rather Be You,
Mhm.
or I'd rather be me, or something, than be happy. I'd rather be blue than be happy with somebody else or something. Anyway, it could go burlesque. You could almost take that on roller skate kind of thing and do it while you're stripping.
I just got roller skates.
There we go, synchronicity.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, there are a few roller skating burlesque performers. It is a bit difficult because you never know. Some stages are just made of plywood and are very bumpy and weird. But yeah, there are definitely some that are doing that, and I love it. I love anytime you can incorporate other things. There is a performer, I hate that I'm blanking on her name right now, who does an ice skating burlesque act, which is, as far as I know, she's the only one that does that. And so they have to bring these giant, it's kind of like these thick plastic slats to replicate the ice, and they have to lay it across the whole stage. And it's just like the sexiest Disney on Ice thing that you've ever seen.
Wow. That's so cool. Christina Aguilera and Cher and all of them were in the movie Burlesque,
Yes.
and the song that came out of that were,
Mhm.
I mean, oh my gosh. Have you ever like aspired to get to know Christina and because of that?
I mean, I aspire to get to know anybody who's made it.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
I just I don't really have a thing of like, oh, I love the celebrity or I don't like the celebrity. As far as I'm concerned, if you're doing it, you worked your ass off, and I would love to meet you and kind of just pick your brain. That's how I feel about comedy. Like if you can go up there and talk in front of strangers, that alone is hard. I already want to know you. So yeah, so I definitely, and I mean, share is share. So of
Yeah,
course.
share is share. What is it like when you're doing burlesque the first few times? Did you have any like reservations, or did the audience sense any hesitancy? Or because like I've been doing comedy for 8 years, and it's just been like the last 6 months that I've been able to shake any hesitancy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's certainly there. The first time you take your clothes off in public, it's jarring. I
Yeah.
actually, not my first act, but my first tech. So they have I don't know if everybody knows, but the tech is like the sound check, the run through beforehand. My first tech for my debut, it was the clown act. I was so nervous. There was, I don't know, maybe 10 people in the venue, the sound guy, the other performers. I had run through it over and over in my house, but never done it on stage. And it's a very like quick, frantic act. I'm a clown, I'm running out of time. It's very silly. And the part where I, roll, where in a kind of normal, a more classic act, you would kind of roll or like slow and sexy pull your pantyhose off. I thought it would be funny to get scissors and just like cut them off very dramatically. I was so nervous and just so that I cut, and then went right into my leg.
Oh my God.
And I had a gash in my leg, but the adrenaline was pumping so much, I had no idea. So I keep on performing, finish the whole thing. At the end, ta-da, pasties, and they are running with paper towels and bar napkins because there is blood all over the stage. And I was just so adrenaline up. I had no idea that I was bleeding everywhere.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
As you've told your story so far, it does sound like you just accidentally tripped into all this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I very much believe in just, I don't know, butterfly effect, things being kismet, the universe, I get very woo-woo about all that stuff about, things were meant to be, because it was a lot of just coincidences and accidents that led to perfection, honestly. Like I can't imagine a different life at all, and it's all lined up so perfectly, and I do not think for 1 second that it's because of me.
Wow. Well, when you were a judge, there was a competition that you were a judge for. I think it would be amazing to be a judge of a comedy competition, but you were a judge of burlesque.
The Burlesque Hall of Fame, yes, it's actually, so the Burlesque Hall of Fame is a museum in Las Vegas. I used to come every year before I moved here, back when I was in Texas. It was, the pilgrimage every year. It's an amazing museum. If you've never been, please go, because they do focus on the striptease aspect of burlesque, but burlesque was so much more. It was the vaudeville acts, it was the stand-up comedy came from the burlesque houses. The history is so intertwined. And so yeah, every year they have a giant fundraiser, kind of like a weekend convention conference, and shows. And performers from all around the world get selected to do these different showcases. And Saturday night is their big competition night. It's mind-blowing. It's, like I said, just the most amazing performers from around the world all competing for these titles. And I'd gone for 10 years at that point, and it's just, you just get so inspired watching just how everybody is changing things, and just the innovation that is still taking place in this art form that is like pretty old. When you still see things new, it's crazy. It's amazing. And so, yeah, I was selected to be a judge a couple of years ago, which it was crazy. It was it was an honor I never thought I would have, because I looked up to these people for so long. But what they would do is they would have a former winner is a judge. They have because they have like 5 or 6 judges, I forget, maybe 8. But there's different slots where they have like a former winner, one of the legends who are the performers who were headliners back in the 60s, who are still around, and they have stories. So they'll have a legend, they'll have a celebrity, and so there's different slots. And so one of them is a producer. And so they brought me in as the producer judge, because I had a event called the BCBC Festival. It was a burlesque and circus festival, international, big event in Houston. Very proud to say that we sold out every year. We'd get applications from around the world. I forget what it was, but at one point it was like 20 something countries applied to be a part of it. And so, yeah, I'm very proud to say that I got a reputation for being a very good producer. And so that's why they had me come down to do that. And it was amazing.
Oh my goodness sakes. So I come from Portland, Oregon originally,
Mhm.
and we have, I think, well, she claims she's the oldest burlesque. And I can't remember her name. I think it might be a man that does burlesque as a woman. I can't recall, but out of Portland, Oregon.
I'm not sure if yeah, I would have to like look it up. I do know, as far as I was aware, but okay, let me say this and then I'll back up. As far as I was aware, the oldest person was 100. I think she was 102 something. She just passed away a couple of months ago. Oh God, I hate that I'm blanking on her name. But the thing that's amazing and a little bit sad about burlesque is that a lot of the history disappeared. You know, it wasn't preserved very well because people, you know, the burlesque houses were the strip clubs back then. You know, there wasn't a differentiation of like, oh, this is burlesque and this is stripping. That's where strip clubs came from. And so even today, a lot of places kind of, if they are presented with these old videos like the reels and things like that, it's seen as smut and tossed away. And so because of that, there are still legends being discovered today where somebody will run into something in their grandma's attic and be like, wait, grandma, you were a stripper? They were deep, dark secrets back then. And so then those people will go to the museum often and be like, hey, I found all my grandma's stuff. And suddenly we have a new legend that we had no idea was still alive. And something the museum will do that I think is so amazing is fundraise to then bring these legends to Vegas for this weekend conference. And they give these panels and, you know, hear their stories. They will scan and document any photographs that they have, any old books, any autographs, videos, and just archive everything to preserve that history. And it's beautiful when you see the people that it's their first year, because they are just overwhelmed with, they didn't know. They didn't know anybody cared about their story, or I'm not going to tear up, that they cared about their story or their life or this thing that they had to hide from their family for so long. Suddenly, hundreds, thousands of people are, you know, just worshiping them, saying, "Oh my God, you're amazing. Tell me more." And it's jarring and it's beautiful.
Wow. Well, let's talk a little bit personally about your trajectory. How did was your family a little conservative and shocked, or at what point did you tell them and how did they respond?
They they are not super conservative. I didn't tell them at first because yeah, it's parents, it's weird. But when I realized that this was no longer a hobby and something that I was really pursuing and not even just a big part of my life, it became my whole life. Burlesque and stand-up it's all I care about. It's all I do. It's where all my time and money goes. And so, yeah, when I realized like this is my life and my parents, my family know nothing about it. At a certain point, it's like they don't know who I am anymore. And I didn't want that. I can't say, you know, I love them and they love me if they don't know who I am. So yeah, so eventually I did tell them maybe about 2 or so years into it. And I really didn't know how to. So it was just the dumbest, like, we're at dinner talking. Oh yeah, I'm a stripping clown now. Just keep eating. Cause I didn't know, I mean, how do you, I'm not going to sit them down. It's so weird. I didn't know how to do it. And so they're like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, I'm doing this thing. It's burlesque. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyway.
Have they come to see you?
One time they did once come to the fourth annual. I got to 5 before pandemic of the Burlesque Circus Festival. I really wanted them to see that because it for so many years was my baby. I grew that from nothing. I built it up, and I felt that that would be the most palatable version because it's, you know, in a giant venue. It was at Warehouse Live in Houston. So I think we would get like 800-900 seats in that venue. And so, you know, and there's the circus aspect. We had aerialists, we had clowns, we had jugglers, and of course we had the burlesque striptease, but it was incorporated with all these other art forms. And so I felt it would be the easiest for my parents to watch and accept.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
they loved it. They loved it.
Oh, that's great.
Mm.
In Portland, we have a burlesque brunch once a week on a Saturday. And it is the best way to escape your own reality and get out of your own head. And these burlesque artists are so unique individually what they're doing. And
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite burlesque artist in Portland she's a strong stage performer. So she's all about the act of drama with her burlesque. And her name is Bolivia Carmichael.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that name, but I would love to watch. Portland has a very large burlesque scene. It's a very creative city, and so yeah, they've got a lot building out there.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does so many. She does when she's like, I don't know if she does Lucille Ball. I think she does. Yeah, she does because I was going to hire her to teach me how to do Lucille Ball because they wanted me to do Lucille Ball at my 50th reunion.
Oh, how fun. Yeah, I
And
love that.
but you know, Lucille Ball is like very hard to copy, as we saw in this last movie they attempted.
Yeah, yeah, her face is just so iconic. It's hard to like nail all those things. But I love what you said though about it's the best way to escape reality. I love hearing that because that's exactly what I always try to tell people about all the shows that I do. You know, whether the circus show, the burlesque show, anything, and the comedy as well. For so long people would, you know, be like, oh, what do you do? And it's so many things that it's hard to explain. And so I started just summing it up to like, I help people forget about their problems. And so that's become my kind of mantra when I'm doing something. Like, is that furthering that goal? Are they escaping reality for a little bit? Because I think we all need that, especially now, but always. And so I try to go into every project with that in mind, and that's the goal: escape reality.
Yes. The only way, like I said earlier, the only way I could ever strip is if I did it where I'm poking fun at myself, like Lucille.
That's a very common way to start. It's a very common way to start, and then once you like kind of figure it out, you're like, oh wait, I could do this all kinds of ways.
So what's the funniest, you know, like they have weird, hard, stupid, scary as like pillars of questions you can ask. Like,
Oh, okay.
what have you experienced in burlesque or burlesque comedy or comedy that has been either weird, hard, stupid, or scary that you want to talk about?
Oh, geez. Well, something that was just really, I don't know if I'm gonna tell the story anyways. So actually, just a couple of weeks ago, I was doing a show here in Vegas, at a theater. I am blanking on the name. I'm still learning everything here. There's so many venues here. I love it. But in the middle of my act, so the way the act goes, I start with about 7 minutes of stand-up. I'm wearing the full showgirl outfit. I do the stand-up, it's like a story. And then the way the story ends goes into the dance and the striptease part of it, because the song has to do with it. It's all intertwined. And so I tell the jokes, the music starts, I start dancing, and in the middle of dancing, the sound system just shut down. Something happened with the computer, I don't really know, and it just shuts down as I'm like about to take my corset off. So I was like, but it was fun though. It was fun because the audience, I was like, I don't know what to do. So the audience started yelling, keep going, keep going. And so I yelled back, I don't know how to take my clothes off in silence. And so they were cheering and some of them were kind of singing. And so I was like, I started like apprehensively stripping where I was like, and just being really silly, playing it up with them. It was a blast. And then as I like walked off stage, the music started again. They got the computer back up. So I ran from the back of the house back onto stage and I was like, you're not taking this away from me. And so then I danced on stage again. And it was so fun. And that's why I love live theater. Like, it's just, I can't recreate that moment. And I had multiple people ask, like, was that the act actually? Because it was just so fun. And I was like, I wish it was, because that would be so fun, but there's no way I could recreate that energy. I know it would come off as kind of cheesy and you would know that I was faking it. Like, I couldn't recreate that. And it was so fun.
Oh, you're speaking to something that is so important to an audience, because the audience can be so discerning and they will know if you're thinking of something in the moment, and it's 10 times funnier than anything scripted.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's what they always say about crowd work, that it's like the audience will always jump on your side if they think that it was like at that moment. You get way more points, even if it's not actually as clever as a joke that you have been crafting for years. The spontaneity of it just always gives you more points because they're like, damn, they're just on it.
When you were at Wise Guys that one night that I met you, you leaned into the audience. You bent over and leaned into people, and
They were talking.
And you were so funny because it was just for that moment.
Yeah. I know what moment you're talking about, because there was a group of guys that were just talking and talking, and they were talking through everybody's set, by the way. So they were quiet for the first maybe minute of my set, and then they started talking so loud. So I just kept on saying my jokes, but got like 2 inches from their face and they shut up.
It was hilarious. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really fun. Wise Guys is really fun.
It is. It's the best place. As far as like the mic with a real audience, oh, give me a break.
Yeah, they have got a crowd. I'm still learning all the different open mics in Vegas, and so I've not gone out as often as I want to, because thankfully the burlesque stuff has really taken off while I've been here, so I don't have as many free nights. But I really want to just hit all the open mics and learn all. I don't know a lot of the comedians here yet, and I want to, because I want to do just like regular stand-up shows as well, because I like to do both.
Absolutely. You should definitely get to know Don Barnhart and all his crew of regulars.
Yeah.
And because he puts on a lot of shows, and you've already got the presentation and the jokes. And so I think that, I don't know how long have you been doing comedy?
It is hard for me to say. I mean, you read my bio about the whole addiction thing. I don't really have a good concept of time. I had to literally print out when I used to have a regular Facebook page. I don't anymore. I printed it out so that when people would ask me questions like this, I could go back and say, okay, 7 years, because I don't really know. I will say, I think it's 7 or 8, but then of course pandemic time threw everything off, and so it's hard to say. But a while, definitely not like a super pro. I still consider myself figuring things out. Yeah, but so I'd say 7 or 8.
I can totally see you at one of Don Barnhart's venues.
I would love that. I need to go check out more of the venues. I really do.
And another place, do you know the people who run the Plaza Comedy Works?
No.
She's a burlesque dancer.
No, really?
Jessica Trammell, Trammell, I think, or one
Oh,
L or two. Get a hold of her.
yes. Oh my God. I did not know that. Do they do a weekly or is it like just an every night? What is it?
I'm not sure, but at least a couple nights during the week. It's right down on Fremont Street. It's at the end of Fremont Street, the Plaza Hotel, and
Okay.
inside it is a very old, you would feel really comfortable in the venue. It's like red velvet walls and, yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love that old Vegas feel. Yes, I will absolutely check that out. Thank you so much.
You have to get to know Jessica. She'll love you and you'll love her.
Yes, thank you. Oh, how fun.
Absolutely. Well, did you want to discuss anything about your addiction, your memory, or do you want to skip past that? It's on your website.
I can talk about anything. I'm an open book. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I have memory trouble, not because I'm old, but because I got hit by a drunk driver in 1996. And so it totally was like a wrecking ball in my life. And it's taken me all this time to recuperate and to be thankful and to have jokes about it. So
Yeah.
where do you land in the whole thankful for it, being able to have jokes about it?
I mean, yeah, that's about where I'm at. I definitely, I think it's been 6 years. Again, I'd have to go back. I'm pretty sure, I'm at 6 years now, that I quit drinking. So God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. It's awful.
Thank
It's
you.
not okay. That was actually the catalyst for me to quit. Is I actually drunk driving, flipped a truck in a ditch, and had to deal with a whole mess of stuff that came with that, and probation and just a lot of stuff. And so yeah, it sucks, and I am so thankful that I didn't kill anybody, because I drove home drunk. I couldn't even tell you how many times. I'm sure in the hundreds of times. And so I am grateful every day that I didn't kill anybody. So yeah, that sucks. I'm so sorry. I feel like
That's
guilty. I feel like
okay.
I hit you. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I didn't talk about it for the first year and a half, maybe even 2 years, because I didn't know how to be sober. I had been drunk or high pretty much every day for 10 plus years. And so I didn't know how to be a human, honestly. It was very strange. And so for a long time, I kept saying I didn't want people to know, because I would say, well, I don't want to be sober, Kiki. I just want to be Kiki. But really it was that I didn't want to be held accountable if I changed my mind, and it just didn't work. So it took a couple of years before I even talked about it socially. And then after that, a couple of more years before I talked about it on stage, because I didn't know how to joke about it. And I especially being newer, it's heavy. And so I didn't know how to approach that, and feared sounding judgy, especially at comedy. You're doing it in a bar, everybody's drinking, and I don't want to be up there like, you drinkers, so I didn't know how to do it. And so again, pandemic time throws everything off. But I will say, like, basically only 6 months before lockdown, I would say 6 months to a year was the first time that I actually started talking about it on stage. And I love it. It's been so wonderful, because I know that's, when it comes to stand up, that's what people want to hear. It's what's interesting. They say, be funny. If you can't be funny, be interesting. And I know that saying, oh yeah, I was a stripping clown who flipped a truck in the ditch. And now I've been sober, but I'm still a stripping clown who's sober. And yeah, I know we're in a bar right now. That's what I like to talk about. It is a little bit hard at open mics, just because they're so short.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't have enough time to really let the audience know who I am and get into it. But when I do have more time, more in the like 15-minute to really go into those stories and talk about it, I love it. I think trauma is fucking hilarious.
You would have really loved listening to Mark Maron last night at Wise Guys.
I saw your pictures. I didn't even know he was in town. I love him.
Oh man, he makes trauma so fun.
Yes. Yes. I love him so much. Is he still, is it weekend thing? Is he here tonight?
No, it was Friday and Saturday.
Oh, today's Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, bummer.
Yeah.
But
Oh my God. Yeah, he's a wonderful example of that. Of just, I think that people are so used to these polished versions that we present to the world. And I don't, yeah, social media is a thing, but I don't even think it's just a recent, like in past generations, there was the keeping up with the Joneses, family secrets, things like that. So I think this has been going on forever. Social media just gets a bad rap for being the reason of these polished presentations, but it's always happened. And so I think that when somebody goes on stage, like Mark Maron, and is just brutally honest, people find that funny. Because it's just so different. It's like the record scratch moment in your life of like somebody is up there just saying these things. And I don't think like, oh, you have to be offensive to be funny in comedy and all. I don't get into all that shit. I just think that honesty is funny.
absolutely.
And that's what I strive for.
Like right now, people are dying to have people be real.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
and they do find it funny and they do find it unique. You're right.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing I think that has made TikTok blow up. I think a lot of people that aren't on it will talk about like, oh, that dancing app. That's not even what it is. It is millions of people who are just talking into the mic, just being brutally, stupidly honest to strangers. And that's the appeal and why it's grown so much is people are craving that actual connection. And if they've got to get it from strangers, they'll get it from strangers.
Absolutely right. Do you go on what places do you go on and perform? Do you do TikTok?
I do. I'm not super active on TikTok. I keep saying I'm going to, but it's like everything. There's so many things I'm trying to do, and I'm climbing 20 mountains at once, which is not terribly smart. But yeah, I am on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I'm a Twitch streamer, so I do long form streams as well. I'm on Centerfold. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter.
Wow.
Too many things.
So have you had any desire to be on America's Got Talent? Or you're beyond that? Like they would offer a residency in Las Vegas, so it's not like you would go anywhere, but
yeah, no. I mean, a residency in Vegas is the dream. I mean, that's why I moved here. I'm very, very honest about that. I love Houston. I love the shows that I've built up there. I miss them terribly, because it's jarring to go from having my own productions. I had a mid-sized one that was the Burlesque. That was my kind of cabaret lounge show. That one was 150 to 250 seater, depending on Houston or Dallas. And then I had my circus show, which we would do 2 big shows a year on the main stage. And so, to go from that to a city where I don't know anybody and they don't know me, it's jarring. It's also really exciting because the reason I came here is I know that there's a ceiling, right, of how much I could do in Houston. And again, I miss it. I love it, but it's not Vegas. And I couldn't, there was I'd done all the growth I felt that I could do there. So that's why I came out here, is because even though I'm a big old nobody here, I know that the growth potential is there, and I am ready for a challenge. And so, yeah, Vegas residency is certainly the goal.
Well, I'd like to ask you a question about, I know it's kind of jarring. I go from one question to another without a segue, but I'm not good
That's
at
how my brain goes.
I always tell people, you want to segue, go watch Mall Cop. But when you do comedy, like when you're writing your material, like for me, I always hear this amazing punchline. And then sometimes I come up with the real thing in my life that ties me to the punchline. Sometimes I'll just write some bizarre, ethereal thing that has nothing to do with reality, just to have a joke. But I don't say those on stage. I put those on Facebook so people will steal them. But how do you write your jokes?
That's interesting. This is why I like listening to other comics, because everybody's so different. I am the total opposite. I go on, I'm a storyteller. That's my favorite thing. And so it's always, some random shit that happened in my life, or just a weird thought that I had. And it's very, I have so many, oh my God, in my phone, so many just rants and ramblings where I just have to record just the stream of consciousness about this thing. And then I will write it out. I'll actually type the thing out, and then I get kind of anal about it. I'm like, I type it all out, and then I make sure I don't put space. I don't do a paragraph. I put an actual, enter after each, not even sentence, but each pause in the way I would deliver it. And then I go through and highlight every line that has something that's funny. So if I have these huge chunks where it's just too rambly and there's not a punchline or even something a little smirky about it, I'm like, I gotta find something here in this space. And so then I go try to fill in, and the goal is to have, highlighted all the way down. And so then once I get that done, then it's about presenting it on stage, because I can, in my head, say it the way I want to all day. But once I'm in front of people, as you know, if you put the pause in the wrong spot, it doesn't work anymore. And so then it's about going on stage and trying to say it the way I know it could be, but to have that calm conversationally and relaxed, and also balance out my nervousness, balance out the crowd talking, balance out everything else, all the variables, because nobody wants to hear, I swear this is funny in my bedroom. I swear.
Okay, so here's the question I've never asked anybody else yet out of 930 some interviews.
900.
How do you handle your nervousness?
So before, I used to just take shots. I still remember the first time I did comedy on stage sober, because it was the most terrifying thing. I'd never done it. I didn't know how to do it. I was super, super shaky. I actually still have this habit that I hate and I want to break, where I would hold the mic with two hands like this, which does not look very relaxed, but it was because if I did this, you could see the shaking. And so it just became a habit to hold this one here. And I still do it even when I'm not shaking and I'm trying to break it, because I feel like not only does it look unnatural and like I'm giving a presentation, but I think that there's a subconscious body language of like, I'm closing myself off. And I hate that, because that's the whole thing, is I'm trying to be as open to the world as possible. And if you see me on stage doing that, tell me.
Okay, I will. I'll let you know.
But yeah, so I used to it was just drinking was the only way. And I remember the first time I did comedy sober, and I did awful. I bombed. It was at a comedy festival. It's called the Come and Take It Comedy Festival in Houston. And I walked off stage, and a friend of mine was like, do you want a shot? Because I was so like, and I just sat there and I said, no, I need to feel my feelings. I have to feel my feelings.
Absolutely.
Because that pain, if it hurts, that's a good thing. That will make me practice more. That will make me write more, because I never want to feel that feeling again, because it sucks. So after that, I just started trying to, I guess, go into the fear and say, like, this is a gift. This is a gift. I'm not going to be better if I don't feel afraid. So just keep on doing it. Now it's a little bit different. I still do get nervous. But I just, what I've been focusing on now is that I spent a significant amount of time believing that the air was going to kill me. We were locked up. I never knew if I was going to be on stage again. Everything was so uncertain and so scary, and just be grateful. No matter if there's two people in the bar at an open mic, I'm like, 2 years ago, I would have killed to be in this bar when I was sitting in bed watching Netflix for 40 hours straight. And so I'm just trying to focus on the gratitude and put myself mentally back in that space of how I never thought I was going to have this moment again.
Wow.
So just have fun on stage.
That's a lot what I do, except I have a different frame of reference. That's your motivator. Mine is my parents survived the Holocaust. And so when they came to America, they really shouldn't have been parents because they weren't capable. They did the best they could, but they would be staring off into space sad. So I would do the silliest things to get them to be present, to smile, to laugh. So when I'm on stage, I try to remember that those people are, my parents are gone, but those are my parents now.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make them, everybody nowadays, especially, everybody has stuff they're trying to escape from, and it's hard to laugh and smile. So everybody's become that vision of my parents. I'm the little girl on stage, the playful little girl trying to make my parents enjoy life.
That's amazing. That is so beautiful.
Thank you. Sometimes it's like the audience is saying, go to your room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go to your room.
But I thank you for sharing that. That is so beautiful. And I think, sometimes I wonder, I'm like, oh my God, how broken is my brain? Because I've certainly had people be like, what? That's how I work. I find comfort in really terrible, sad things, because to me, the balance of that is the gratitude of that's not now though. That's not now. And I mean, I take it so extreme where even sometimes when I can't fall asleep, I think about times where I had been, I don't know, camping at some music, some rave type festival, and I was freezing and I was using a rock as a pillow, and how uncomfortable and terrible, and I was shivering and freezing. And I think about those times when I was shivering and freezing, and I'm like, oh, I would have killed for this bed. Oh, I would have killed for this pillow. And so I find comfort in these painful memories.
Wow. That's fabulous. That's fabulous.
Yeah,
I love that. And thank you for sharing that. I'm going to start doing, because it's an exercise in gratitude is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it also really gives me extreme empathy, because what you were saying, where the audience is your parents, you don't know them, but somebody's going through something. Yeah. And I think that, having that level of empathy, I think makes me a better performer. Yeah. Because I am then opening myself up to you, and then it's up to them whether or not they want to open themselves up to me. But honestly, at that point, it doesn't matter, because to me, you already are open. I already know you have shit, whether you're sharing it or not. Too bad. We're friends. Too bad.
I love it. I love your fearlessness on stage, and you're super funny, likable. Yeah. You connect with the audience and they love you back.
Thank you. I'm trying.
So let's pretend that you find out you have 3 months to live and money's not an issue. What are you going to do with it? What do you want to accomplish? What's the legacy you have to leave? What do you have to finish so that you have that legacy is tied up with a bow?
I mean, honestly, that's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah,
that's what I'm working on right now. So like I said, I had the big circus burlesque show. It was also honestly circus burlesque and comedy show in Houston. It was a annual festival, and when everything happened, when all the shutdowns and stuff happened, the only thing that I could find comfort in was working on making new costumes. I routed out tour schedules. I had everything ready to be like, you know what, when we come back, when the show comes back, when I come back, it's going to be bigger and better than ever. And I'm going to take that festival and just tour it around the country. And it's just going to be amazing. We're going to take this whole crew, this whole setup around the country. And I've got investor packets, I've got presentations, I've got maps, I've got budgets. I threw myself into it because I needed hope. And that's where my hope came from, was once everything comes back, I'm going to do this thing and we're going to go. And while things have opened back up, and shows are happening again, turns out that you need money for that. And so while I do have, everything is pretty much mapped out, it is now just a finance situation. And so I am just working on saving. I've been selling shit in my house. I'm saving to just get myself to the point where I can do that. That to me is, I can't explain why it's important to me. It is.
I wish you that the very best that will happen and happen soon. And I also, on a side note, I heard Bill Gates is trying to give away all his money.
God, I will write him. I will write everybody. I have a lot of faith. I know, like I said, I have the plans, I have everything ready. I know that if somebody wants to make a lot of money, I gotta wait for them. And if they don't, I'll make it myself. I don't give a shit.
You're dynamo. And like I brought up America's Got Talent, but I know America's Got Talent is ABC and it's clean, but Burlesque isn't filthy.
No, it's not. But there is certainly, even on Instagram, I can't show everything because, they shut things down. So I get it. I'm never somebody that's like, oh, this is so much bullshit. Showbiz, you got to play the game. And so I understand that, sometimes we have to present different parts or different aspects of the show. But yeah, no, I would take a residency anywhere. I will make it work.
Yeah, I can totally see you doing a clean version of Burlesque, whether that's changing clothes or starting with a big outfit and you're down to, a soldier outfit that's shorts and a top with,
one of my inspirations is like Bette Midler. She used to have her big productions, and it wasn't stripping, but it was her. She's singing, she's telling jokes. She has all the performers behind her in all the different costumes and stuff. So the striptease portion, while I love it, I think it's so fun. It's not, it's the clothing room. I don't need tits to make a good show.
Yes.
they help, it's nice, but there's so many different aspects. Like I said, with the circus production, we have the aerialists, we have the clowns, I've got fire breathers, I've got hula hoopers, and like the main through line is me hosting and doing comedy between each of these acts. So while I love the striptease portion and want to include it anywhere I can, it's not a requirement. I am very capable of being entertaining with my clothes on.
I can totally see you winning America's Got Talent.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I appreciate that though.
With all those people behind,
yes. If I had everybody else's talent, absolutely.
Because like a lot of times comedians, they're one person up there with one microphone trying to connect to all these people. And it's really not a Vegas residency act, but you have all this backup at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Bring.
Yeah. And like I said, that's the goal is that's the goal, is getting my shows up and running. And honestly, even if I have to do them in Texas again, just because that is where I have, a following and the venue connections, if I do them back in Texas again, and I will bring everybody from Vegas that I've met here now to Texas, do the shows, get the recordings, everything is content now. I'll get all the videos, I'll get all the pictures, I'll get everything, and then bring it to Vegas and say, look what I have. we can do that too.
Absolutely.
I got
Well, where
plans.
where are some places that you most want increased following on social media, Kiki?
So I'm most active on Instagram. So if people want to see a lot of like the behind the scenes at the different shows, or when I'm working on costumes or what's going on, most active on Instagram. I especially on show days, I go crazy in the stories. I am trying to grow my YouTube more because I do like the long form videos. Like I said, I do Twitch streams. That's what all this setup is. So we do chatting streams. I also do some like gaming streams. So I'm trying to build up the YouTube stuff as well.
Super. And is it all under Kiki Maroon?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
everything's under Kiki Maroon. If you go to kikimaroon.com/links, it takes you to everything. So whatever your preferred social media is, I am most likely there.
Super. Is there anything I didn't ask, drag out of you that you want to say
I don't
about
think
your
so.
childhood, about becoming an artist, making it?
No, oh, bless you.
Thank you.
No, I mean, I feel so good. I'm just grateful that you brought me on here. I love talking about myself. I found myself to be the best subject. Yeah, no, I feel really good about this. I'm very grateful and very excited to be in a space where the comedy and burlesque are, like I said, intertwining instead of being this very separate parts of my life. And you even bringing me on here to talk about both is a wonderful example of that. So thank you.
You bet. Thank you so much, Kiki Maroon. I love you. Invite me when you're performing. I'll
Yes.
want to come be a fan.
Absolutely. Yay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll share it too.
Mhm.
Thank you. Bye, Kiki Maroon.
Bye.
I love you.